Hey everybody, as always, it's me, Waifu Belector, the only fair human on Earth, and it's time to talk about Doom: The Dark Ages. Obviously, it was highly anticipated. It's the follow-up to the critical hits Doom Eternal and Doom 2016, so I and many others were very excited for this medieval prequel to Doom. And I'm sure even more people are interested but undecided about buying the game. Well, I've played the whole thing now, 100% completion, so I can now tell you all what's good, what's bad, and what are just the indifferent facts of this game. And I guess we'll just start by generally discussing what's different about Doom: The Dark Ages, right? What makes this shit different from Eternal? Well, the game director Hugo Martin summed this up pretty well before release. He said that 2016 was run and gun, Eternal was jump and shoot, and so here in Dark Ages, it's stand and fight. And yeah, that's exactly what's going on here. You are not nearly as mobile and agile as you were in Doom Eternal. Instead, you're just a fucking freight train blocking damage and shooting everything in front of you. Now yes, the mobility is way less than Eternal, but that doesn't mean that you're just slowly trotting around and you can't get anywhere quickly. You still have the ability to quickly close in on enemies. It's one of the new abilities tied to your shield saw, the shield saw being new to this game. And we'll talk more about the other stuff the shield saw does in a sec, but yes, one of those things is a homing shield bash that you can do from really far away that sends you flying into demons' faces like some kind of fucking human bullet. And this is your main tactic for moving quickly, because there's no dodge and certainly not an air dodge like there was in Eternal. Because again, you're supposed to stand and fucking fight. And of course, shields aren't just for bashing, they're mainly for blocking. So naturally, you use your shield to block incoming damage, but that'll reduce your stamina gauge, so you can't just block forever. Otherwise, your shield will briefly be on cooldown and out of commission, leaving you with no shield abilities at all, which in this game just makes you a sitting fucking duck. You can sprint, and it's not a slow sprint, but like I said, there's no dodge or anything, so you turning around and running just gets you shot in the back a lot of the time. And seeing as this is the stand and fight game, you have a pitiful little jump that doesn't do much for you, but if you sprint and jump, it can be a little more reminiscent of Doom Eternal. And I've got to say, the degree to which you can move in this very stand and fight game is super well thought out. It never turns into not the stand and fight game, it's very much that, but they make sure that you can move enough so that the game doesn't seem slow paced or maybe just dull by comparison to its predecessor. The game's still active, but active in its own way. Now let's just keep talking about the shield, because so much of what's new in this game is just shield mechanics. This game truly dares to ask, what if the Doomslayer was Captain America? So yeah, along with your blocking and charging star, shield bash, you'll also be parrying. All of the big demons have these green hell charged attacks that can be parried with correct timing. And in the thick of everything, when you're walking and shooting and bashing and all that, it feels really good and so fun to be aware of those attacks on top of everything else and get those parries off in the heat of battle. It's so sick. Ultimately, it doesn't feel as busy and crazy as Eternal, but it still gets very active and busy. Now, staying in line with our Captain America skill set, you also have your shield slash, where in very Steve Rogers fashion, you just throw the shield through a bunch of demons. Well, the throwing part is Steve, not the bunch of demons part, though I'm sure he has and would throw his shield through a bunch of demons, but he's not known for it. Anyway, the Doomslayer shield saw goes through fodder demons and embeds itself in bigger demons, stunning them in place as it spins in their chest. It's kinda fucking sick. So you can use this to slow the game down a tad, or just take a particularly annoying demon out of the fight for a bit while you either get some health or get some free shots, or both. Oh, and there's also an upgrade that makes the shield saw bounce from enemy to enemy if you throw it at an energy shield demon, and then you just get this maximum Captain America. Now, the guns. There are a good amount of guns, as you might imagine, and some of them are so doomed that it's hilarious. Like the pulverizer that just chews up skulls as ammo and shoots out the bone shrapnel. And you'll be glad to hear that it's not just a couple of guns that are fun. You can stick to just your one or two guns that you're more comfortable with, but I found that most of the weapons really start to shine when they're upgraded and you play into their gimmicks. It's an entertaining arsenal to go along with all of the fun shield stuff. My favorite is probably the most medieval of the guns. Well, as medieval as a gun can be, I guess. It's a charge weapon that just lobs out a fucking ball on a chain and then pulls it back. It's so fucking stupid and cool, I love it. You also have melee options in Dark Ages. Certain options are better against certain things or have specific strengths and drawbacks. It's another nice little added bit of variety. Now I also want to talk about the game's levels, because I love this game's levels. I love the way they're laid out, I love the way they're paced, I love how the secrets are done. The secrets are a little bit more obvious than they were in Eternal, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, because finding all of the secrets isn't quite as annoying as it may have been in Eternal if you were going for 100%, but some of the secretness of the secrets is kind of removed also. Not fully, because sometimes you will see something on your map, but you still don't know how to access it, and that's the secret part, which works out well, and a lot of the stuff is kind of like that. But yeah, and now they also have some of these new kind of open area levels, but they're still really confined and they're done just as well. It's all just really fun and it flows. And the gimmick levels, like when you're in a mech or riding a dragon, don't stick around too long and make you annoyed with them. It's just very well thought out and things are well placed. Really, the only thing that's gonna possibly drag on in your playthrough is you looking around trying to find or figure out some secret shit or whatever. Literally, if you play normally and just grab whatever secret stuff you happen to notice, but mostly focus the main objective, this is a 10 to 12 hour game. If you're trying to do everything though, it's about 20 hours. But I gotta be honest, it's a really enjoyable 100% to get. It's very fluid, it's very natural, it's very fun. I'm just certain that most people will come away from this game having had a good time. I should also mention that this game has significantly more cutscenes than the other Doom games. This was also mentioned by Hugo Martin beforehand. He said, we're taking the story out of the codex and into the cutscenes. And you know what? I don't mind it or dislike it. And I'm saying this as someone who really got into the optional and hidden lore that was all throughout Doom Eternal. Here in Dark Ages, the story still isn't too much more coherent without the codex, because there's still a codex, but there are just now more cutscenes, so you have to read a little less for your lore. But it is reading a little less, because I challenge you to try and fully grasp what the fuck is going on in Dark Ages without reading the codex entries. It's not fucking possible. Just thought I'd mention that. The story has always been secondary in these games, and it still is here. Doesn't really hurt or help the game, this slight emphasis on story, but it does seem promising for future entries. But yeah, there's just a lot to play with in this game. It's a straightforward, fast-paced, good time that won't take you 1 million hours to complete. I know, right? A AAA game that isn't a mandatory 30 hours. Unheard of nowadays. Don't worry, we'll be back on track soon. Death Stranding's coming to absorb all of your free time. But yeah, anyway, Doom the Dark Ages is actually so interesting to me because in comparison to Eternal, almost at every turn, it's just different. Not better, not worse, but just different. There are some slight spots where I think it does things better and slight spots where I feel like things are a touch worse, but mostly they just feel on equal footing, but they are very different. Even down to the difficulty where this game is just easier, but it's not really a bad thing or a good thing. It's just easier though. It's just different. And that's really cool and perfectly okay when you're coming off of a game as good as Eternal was. Now there are things in Dark Ages that I feel are quite promising and in the future may lead to a game better than both Eternal and Dark Ages, but they don't have a huge effect right now. And while I think that Dark Ages is inferior to the content complete version of Eternal, really after the addition of the first DLC, I felt like Eternal was a straight 10 out of 10. But Eternal before that, I think Dark Ages is right there. The biggest thing for me is I think Dark Ages needed more unique boss fights. There are a few unique big boss fights, one that I really love close to the end of the game, but for the most part, the boss fights don't even really feel like boss fights. And I felt like Dark Ages specifically could have really benefited from that. But that's really my only big gripe. Still a fantastic game. If I had to put a number on it, I'd give it a nice shiny 9 out of 10. Sick as hell game. I'm very pleased with it. You should check it out. You can just purchase it on PlayStation, PC, or Xbox, or it's included with Game Pass Ultimate. But alright, that's pretty much all I have to say. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, remember to give this video a like and consider subscribing if you ended up enjoying. And until next time, I am Waifu Belector. I am just a normal guy. I like hentai. And how has the Doomslayer not been in Mortal Kombat yet? Goodbye.